done it without you. We are gathered here this afternoon with the prime aim of creating the avenue for the Minister for Finance and his team of experts to explain the importance of the electronic transaction levy, commonly known as E-Levy, to our brothers and sisters in the Upper West region, as well as take feedback and input from you on the levy. For us in the Upper West region, we have benefited enormously from the policies, programs, and projects initiated and implemented by the government of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. These programs include the Free Senior High School Program, Planting for Food and Jobs Program, Rearing for Food and Jobs Program, One Village, One Dam, One District, One Warehouse, Youth in Afforestation Program, One Constituency, One Ambulance, 110 educational infrastructure completed, while 116 are ongoing. 28 health infrastructure completed with 11 ongoing. We are also benefiting from the Agenda 111 with 5 of our districts being beneficiaries, just to mention but a few. If the E-Levy will guarantee the sustenance of these programs and many more, then the people of Upper West are all for it. Taxes are essential for the development of every nation. No nation the world over have developed without taxes. Governments impose charges on their citizens and businesses to raise revenue, which is then used to meet budgetary demands. Without taxes, government would be unable to meet the needs of their societies. Taxation is the only practical means of raising revenue to finance government spending on the goods and services that most of us demand. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I need to leave some time for our astute panelists today to fill you in on the relevance of the subject matter. Today, I strongly believe it will be fun and full of learning. So once again, a very warm welcome to each one of you. If you have any questions, suggestions, or clarification, there will be time allocated for just that. I would therefore use this opportunity to urge all of us to discuss issues dispassionately. On this note, I welcome all of you to this important event. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you. Once again, let's appreciate our regional minister. Gra Minister Togli Nuhu Adiate, Achepo Tijabarka Nentuala Nenche. Oyalanka Kina Nyeka Jine, Lambonga ya Lambone, Banaboraka o Mahiti, Blanit Yiri Babu Anchine, Gangaja Aticha Habunga Tumayaka E-Levy, Kaneja Bamo, Kaka Omende Lompo, Ka Yi Fung, Eli Dadibu Libri Ingang, Kaka Omende Lompo, Ayi Ande Librini Nabantuane Ade Ena Immobile Money Hang, Ka Vola Kaneja Chali Wong, Anna Banabora Kaba Walehe, Aputi Anajianga.
Gra nkumba wono wale chele da na vuku ne kan ku yel kumo ajuma yi kakan yala kana wata sa saltir ka munir ayala ce wali nin dagari yan maman na yala na chabi wala baraka ya ja mpo heti minister ankara ti libya la apu humbiara pong honorable Ambrose Dere apu he ti government ne na amman kara ti yala apu he ti disi anin tinemi mbera nga ja an wache ti den henen mbera ja an biche anin jama ja mpuhiyen anin ya waya ha aha ya gbaboran a che puhi ti santi hanga anyi akra awa ka bawa chanti nimbiri ayi bonga lamponga government ambora ko wanan ku isebabu ka te palo nga ka omala mampana apuhi ti finance minister anan ukareci beranga on wanan nga anan ba waya ha chala puhu ya jaman ai yeyi awache ka yawa awowo yala yalian tenayan ambi Upper Western al lampo nga ka debun na ven kar palo nga amala blayan te sagayan adi te boran ko mala to se akuti to school secondary school jala bangaro nga ka ona bana de ven ka abihina ngara jala ka blen la te sagayan ka planting for food and jobs ka anana ben ka ko yala ay lamfie ka badnan den ka yala ka utar nimbri chaman pana a kuro niela ne ja an wace ye ben karade ta hakla a en yala na ban wanan ka ba wa yala akutini ya ja ya barka anan ya waya ha
barka to Upper West Regional Minister kan la cha biala braman sasale kinanya radio hinandra na sasalting radio jandra we ohabulana ochinara actual le minister va hale gamode akujel rwa palala achoksa pala la joha wan havang amot tiavla kun hala habul E-Levy la ochobla wuna ka bole seneru ajiglani ni werin wa hako baka choksa pala le E-Levy wakana havang o say inibene joha wowa rwan lompo ba la evia wa wana sala lompo ba seneru echen agbara rwa wula la lompo ba re joha wano Roma Sapa. Let's put our hands together for the minister. Thank you. On this note, I want to invite to the podium, and I'll hand over to him to continue with the recs, the Minister for Information, Comrade Honorable Kojo Nkrumah.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Regional Minister, Minister responsible for Finance, Minister responsible for the Interior, Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, MDCEs, our eminent chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am happy to have the opportunity to be with you as part of the government delegation here to have a broader conversation on the Ghanaian economy with the people of the Upper West region, and also to have a conversation about how to fund the next steps ahead of us, reference to the Ghanaian economy. Every country has a number of issues that it considers serious to talk about. First, usually, is security, because without security, you can't do anything else. And second is the economy, because it's the economy that determines essentially how jobs are created, how much growth is achieved, how people get incomes, and how they therefore step up on their own quality of life. We all bear testimony to the fact that the Ghanaian economy between 2017 and 2019 was doing very well, picking up in terms of growth. And what it meant was that gradually more jobs were coming in. More jobs meant more incomes for people. More incomes meant a higher quality of life for people. And then in 2020, COVID-19 hit the whole world, including Ghana. So growth slumped. Globally, growth was about negative 3.2%. By 2021, we are beginning to see a gradual recovery, about 5.9, 2022, a target of about 4.9. The consequence is that inequality has increased around the world. Today, if you are watching the international news networks, inflation is going up all over the world because global supply chains have slowed down because of COVID. Once you start doing social distancing, people shouldn't go to work, or people should go to work in turns, productivity goes down. And once productivity is low, what will happen is that the little money chasing the fewer goods will begin to create inflation. And once inflation starts, which is the rate at which prices of goods and services are going up, central banks will begin to adjust interest rates up so that we don't have too much money coming into the economy. So inequality is also growing all over the world. The rich are getting richer, the poor are not necessarily catching up. As I mentioned, inflation is rising. Fuel prices are going up in Europe and many other parts of the world. Here in Ghana, we have had our own challenges with COVID. But the challenges are the same. Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, everywhere else. Unemployment is also gone up in many parts of the world because once productivity is down and economies are not growing, you'll find that unemployment is also going up. So hardships have increased the world over. But if you recall, when COVID started, President Akufo-Addo said something. He said he's going to do all that he can so that we can protect lives, and then we'll deal with livelihoods. And so Ghana took a lot of drastic measures, pumped a lot of money, did a lot to protect lives. But the consequence is that it will hit our economy, and that's what the president foretold, that we know how to bring the economy back to life, But if we don't do this and people die, we can't bring the dead people back to life. Today, the Ghanaian economy is gradually recovering. Just last week, and in fact, today's newspapers, the World Bank, the Ghana Statistical Service, all of those who are doing the surveys are saying that the economy is gradually picking up. But is that enough? No, it's not enough. We have to do more to get growth back to the levels that we desire, to get a lot more jobs so that more people can make money, incomes, and improve their own quality of life. And that brings us to the conversation of the Ghanaian economy. All over the world, governments are trying to answer the question, how do we recover after COVID? And that is the same question that the government of Ghana is also answering. Today, the finance minister and team will have the opportunity to speak to what the government of Ghana has been doing and what we need to do moving forward. One of the things we've been talking about is the electronic transactions levy. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about it. Some say it's double taxation. Some say it's not fair. Some say it's a tax on capital. Some say it will kill electronic transactions, several things. People have other ideas. The objective of this town hall meeting is to have a conversation with the Ghanaian people, the people of the Upper West region, on how the economy is being brought back to life and our various responsibilities in all of that. And we look forward to an opportunity where we have a fruitful interaction. I want to start by inviting to the podium the Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Member of Parliament for Sisala, the Honorable Amidou Chana. Let's receive him with a big round of applause. And just as he comes to the podium, let me mention that our conversation today will be in 5 languages: English, Wali, Sisala, Dagari, and Lobe. Which one would you be speaking? Sisala, mixing with English. We are yours.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister for Information. The Minister for Finance, Minister for Interior, the Upper West Regional Minister, our respected chiefs, our MMDCs who are present here, representatives of political parties, representatives of working groups, the teacher unions, nurses, and other working groups who are here, the media, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me add my voice to the Upper West Regional Minister in welcoming the Minister for Finance and the team to the Upper West region. If you have been following, this is the 4th region the Finance Minister and the Information Minister have taken this very critical assignment of state of educating the public and seeking some information from the public, generally on the economy and specifically on the E-Levy. And so for Upper West to have been chosen as the 4th region for them to come and make a case and to listen to the people of Upper West is a privilege, and I take this opportunity to join the regional minister in thanking them. All of us know that there are 3 major sources that the country relies on to mobilize resources to undertake development. First, sometimes we get grants from developing partners. Second, we take loans from countries and other developing partners. And the third and major option is revenue that we generate internally within the country. These are the 3 major sources of funding that we get to finance government projects and to undertake development. You're also all aware that globally, every country's economy is down. In fact, 2 months ago, the European Union decided to implement 3 new tax measures so that they could raise more resources to support all European countries and to support some other countries across the world. 3 new tax measures by the European Union because their countries' economies are going down. In America, they are struggling because of COVID, all over the world. And so the other opportunities that lies in grants and loans will be difficult, because if you could take grant or loan from a country and that country is struggling, how do you rely on such countries to get loans or grants? It becomes a very difficult situation. And the biggest option and the appropriate option to rely on is for us to raise more revenue within so that we can undertake development. There has also been an interesting argument that people make that we should cut down expenditure because we can't keep taxing and then expecting Ghanaians to pay more tax. But when you look at the other side of the equation, are Ghanaians cutting down their demands for development? And the answer is no. More people are asking for better roads, people are asking for employment, people are asking for better health facilities, better educational facilities, and better living conditions. Ghanaian workers are demanding for better payment, better salaries. So the demand for spending is going up and up and up. And so it is government responsibility to find a decent way of raking in more money so that government can take care of these many demands that are being made by the Ghanaian public, because the demands are legitimate. The road from Wa to Tumu to Bolga is bad. Is it not legitimate for the people of Upper West to demand that the road is constructed from Tumu, Wa connecting Tumu, connecting Bolga, which are two different regions? It is a legitimate demand. So can government undertake that development without raising more money in the absence of the fact that we cannot get more grant and more loans? So it becomes a legitimate argument on the part of government to also find innovative ways of increasing revenues. So my point is, as long as the people are entitled to demand for more development, to demand for more opportunities, government has to find ways of raising more money so that we can undertake development for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. Now, when you look at the options available, like I said, and I want to make reference to two statements. The first statement was made by Dr. Kwesi Indum when he was Minister for Economic Planning and Regional Integration. He read a speech on behalf of the then President, His Excellency President J. Kufuor, and he said, and I quote, "After 20 long years of implementing structural adjustment programs, our economy has remained weak and vulnerable and not sufficiently transformed to sustain accelerated growth and development. Poverty has become rather widespread, unemployment very high, manufacturing and agriculture in decline, and our external and domestic debts much too heavy a burden to bear," said the President. This was a statement that was made by Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum under President Kufuor's government. And the point he made clearly was that for us to develop as a country, we have to find ways of relying on our own economy and raising revenue within the country. We have undertaken more than 20 years of structural adjustment program by the World Bank, by IMF, yet underdevelopment has been the order of the day. Now, the latest one I want to add was made on 29th of March 2021 by His Excellency, the former President, John Mahama, at a public forum. He said, "Our country has come a long way since then. The international financial institutions have also come a long way since then. Kenneth Kaunda said, the IMF is like a mad doctor. It can only dispense one prescription, quinine. Those of you who know quinine, it is the bitters medicine you will ever encounter on earth, and that is all the IMF knew to do. Give you quinine." So we had to cut down subsidies to everything. Subsidies to healthcare, education, agriculture. But Ghana had to go through it, take the bitter pill, and make some adjustment. It was in those years that the cedi was left to float. Foreign exchange bureaus were introduced. Forex bureaus were introduced. Those were the beginnings of cost sharing and beginning of cash and carry in the health sector. You had to pay before you were given service. It created a lot of hardship in Africa and more classes of poverty. This is a statement ably made by former President John Mahama. emphasizing the fact that when you rely on international partners like the IMF, they control what you do, and the end result is that they create hardship, your people suffer. But when you are able to generate revenue within your country on your own, you are not given parameters within which you operate. You operate the way you think will benefit the citizens. And so we have a choice to make. A choice to continue to rely on partners who will dictate how we run our economy, and by so doing will affect employment, will affect healthcare, will affect everything. And a choice to increase revenues so that we can manage our economy in such a way that we don't depend on them. And if you remember, when we went to IMF in 2014, that resulted in the withdrawal of teacher training allowances, withdrawal of nursing training allowances. Tertiary students were made to pay utility bills, which was free before then. But today the free utility bills have been introduced. So if you go back, you can imagine the consequences. So these were some of the burdens that we brought on Ghanaians because we had to go to IMF and because we could not raise enough revenue to finance our capital expenditure. So I think that it is important that as we demand for more development, more roads, more education, more employment, more health facilities, we as citizens must be willing to pay more so that we can support government to undertake these developments. Thank you very much for your audience. But before I go, let me say this in Sicily, the language I understand best. So, nela kalase hala kuruzung ane Ghana nya kalase jeglu. Abina mamajen jomu yukura pe regional minister le alole la finance minister. Ano niazo ko Upper West jenang. Rawa ko bula pla motake. Ni Ghana Economy se veng ane lompo fale la wasaka ko bayire E-Levy. Lajima Upper West nga region nesamam basako. Ba mulere ne dianlia tur lananga nesamo nakane. Finance minister no nia ba jung Upper West the chenang apone so majan chame machang Upper West nyala alolo anu ba kukeri basako Upper West ba ko bula amotiki E-Levy ane Ghana Economy le kalama na wombing ran kan wo piasa ko bula la yam bula dakaba rama jigla anne ajongo pe mola wasa kenele awu lende law kenere wa musapang apla to me bula motake la nyama papa ko sindum obolo obire tam kwala ane former president John Mahama ane la ne jon la yela kala sake ni aji jalan le IMF nuko World Bank nuko EU nuko jalan nia bana janko dakala plangi las jankel la country akaveng o masa objam pelele lanna nakane la tanko lalle ale che penang because of penang la wase sanlanga the nafa lizmurieta peret kiale basa I full cost recovery the nafa yerafela dire nafa wojo muriye pe basa I amar la do nga ko keri ankala titia wo le lompo lanang o musapang la wo na muriye Ghana tong mo bina la janchela le jalang amubula no ko pelale la jene se na muri ka bin la country mo bina ngi kala se chalanga la janga jina ma nebra bene Ghana le kala mo nya piesa na chiche ba che bruma wombie ne ba che school falana ba che le nyolen ne ba che electricity ne ba che wo kene en government janga awu to bukati we kala na zan apagana ne ono karla nga ko kiri amape government le lompo rojele nyunga na government na muriye awo brumla wombie pla awo sasku apla awo pla les hommes la nwa ano kere la kala ziche la na bi ni dress ko head is level tenga kene do wo chetenga apwa malol na herame. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my brother, the Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. Let's give him another round of applause. Earlier, the Honorable Regional Minister, am I right that you did your translation into Wala? You did. And he spoke a bit of Sicily. So when we go for the next presentation by the Honorable Minister for the Interior, Minister, I'm told you are fluent in Dagari and Lobe as well.
Well, I think Dagari and Lobe understand.
Aha. So you will start off there and then you translate into English for me rather. Just two quick announcements. We have some frequently asked questions on the E-Levy, which we will distribute during the question and answer segment. I also want to inform you that what we are doing here, beyond this room, radio, home radio, Sungmali FM, Radio Wa, Tungsung Radio, WFM, Radford FM, and Golu FM. as well as Radio Mark. Later, I'll mention to you the television stations across the country that are also receiving. Let's receive.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for information. Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, the Honorable Minister of Finance, my brother, the Honorable Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. Of course, he's the MP for Sisala East. My in-laws, they can withdraw my wife if I joke. And my own brother, the Honorable Minister for the Upper West Region, who is doing a great job. Our dear revered chiefs, Queen Mothers, our MMDCEs, heads of department, and my people. It's always a pleasure to come back home to Wa. Now, we do know that we need development. And it has already been said that the various sources grant, loans, and we are already told that we have borrowed too much, we are too much indebted, and then taxes. Now, no one wants to pay taxes willingly. The whole world, no one. And the rich are the worst offenders. The rich will take their monies to tax havens to keep outside the country, not to pay. And therefore, you expect that there will be resistance to payment of taxes, not because it's justified, but because it's the bad habit. And I'm saying this especially because our opponent said that their arguments against the E-Levy is to protect the poor. How much money have the poor? I just had an example that was given, I hope I'm right, by the Minister for Finance. At the rate of 1.5%, if you transfer 100,000, you pay 1,500. 100,000, when you transfer 100,000, you pay 1,500. If you transfer 1 million Ghana cedis, you pay 15,000 cedis. How punitive is this? And it's only the one sending it who pays, not the one receiving it. So the excuse not to pay that tax is totally baseless. Now, why do we tax electronic transactions? The world is going digital. All businesses are going digital. If you don't tax that sector, then it means that very soon you have no source of raising money. But what am I here to tell you? I want us to start with security, and I want to be practical. In early 2018, His Excellency the President came to this region to commission water project at Durmu. At that time, you could not move freely in Wa town at 6:30. True or false? They would take your motorbikes, rob you. Right, it was there. Why? Because the security were not financed adequately. We took the challenge. We employed more people. We trained them. We equipped them. There used to be one gun maybe for a whole district. One policeman will be holding it. When he's on duty, he waits for another one to come. We have done something, brought vehicles. Each of you sitting down here asked me to give you more vehicles in your districts. Not so? But how can we finance our security? Today, Wa and the Upper West is safer because of the investment of the government in security. President visited Wana and he acknowledged it, gave smokes to the defense minister and I, and we are safer now. The whole sub-region is in turmoil, but we are investing money to make sure we are safe. No country outside would invest its money in our safety, in our security. No one will do that. So what do? We have to pay taxes. And I've already told you, how much is it at all? It's not much. The same people who say it is not a good tax, tell us that if we implement the tax, we will lose the next election. We say approve so that we lose the next election. In any case, that's why you are there. You want us to lose. So you see, they're changing the story. The most offensive one is that we should go to IMF. We went to IMF before. What was the result? High youth unemployment. This year, last year, thanks to the government, finance minister, we started recruitment. 5,000 police, 2,000 each of other services. The applicants were so many that the short list for immigration. That's the essence of the reason why we want this tax is to ensure that we provide our sons and daughters employment. You say we shouldn't collect it? We take the money from those who have and provide the interventions, the free HHS, the school feeding program, only happened under President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. All those are yearning for financing. We shouldn't collect it. Namene, today, we shouldn't, so that your children will continue to be unemployed. Now, you have NAPCO people asking to be paid. That is better than have unemployed graduates association. That is better. At least they have paid to look up to, and I'm sure that we will do our best to pay them. There's a lot of employment we did teachers, a lot of employment we did nurses, allowances to trainees, and all that. Today, if you have your Ghana card and you want a student loan in the university, all you need is your Ghana card. Before, you needed a guarantor who had SNIT contribution to be able to come. Many people could not do that. Today, all these are being done for us, and we need to contribute something towards it. And they are saying we shouldn't pay E-Levy. So how are we going to get the money to deal with these important things? And I speak to you, Upper Westerners, because I know what happened here, isn't it? Before the NPP came, what were the roads in Wa? What were they? I was here with you. Electricity, roads, we all want that. All we are saying is that MTN is collecting your money. Nobody opposed it. But MTN does nothing for you. Government of Ghana say, can we account for it? During COVID, you got free water. You got free electricity. What does that mean? Government paid for it. Government pays for it. Corruption. This country is better off corruption than before. Let me give you two simple examples. Digitization. Ghana card was used at National Service Secretariat, saving over 100 million cedis because Ghost name was eliminated. We want people to use their Ghana card. Some of the criminals are saying that you should resist it. Why do they want to resist it? Because we will eliminate corruption there. Now, somebody can sit in Nandom, can sit in Tuma as a businessman, use a phone to renew his business registration. True or false? True or false? In those days, you take a vehicle, go to Accra, sleep in the hotel, go to the ministry, nobody reminding you. You'll be forced to remove money for messenger, remove money for director, and you are talking of corruption. The digitization which this government and the president is leading is system. But to contribute. We need to contribute. If you have your family and you can't take together to contribute, isn't it? What we have come to tell you is that this tax is a reasonable tax. It's a tax that's going to help us to continue to do what we are doing. And the finance minister will tell you that now we are not only talking about employing our youth, we are also talking about giving them some capital to be able to start their own businesses. KFC was started by a man who used to roast one fowl a day. Now it's big. And we want our youth to be able to get a place. Don't we want that? Who do you want to pay for that? The rich people. We are to pay. and they run away and say they are protecting you, and they say we should go to IMF. If we go to IMF, it means disaster for all of us. So for me, I think today we've come to tell you what is the truth. And well, Upper West, if you know me to be a liar, we can try. Do I lie? If I say the NPP government will do road, they do, isn't it? Electricity, they do. School free SSS. Over 2,000, who could pay? Yes, because you cannot entertain yourself, you get more children. And then we are saying that your children will go to school so that there's no difference between the chances that my son will have and your children. And you say this is not worth paying for? Please, 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 please. I think that let's be honest with ourselves. And if you take the taxes that we pay, we have a certain indicator called tax to GDP ratio. We are about the worst in the sub-region. 2021, Ghana is about 13%. Senegal, over 16%. South Africa, 26%. Only a few people pay taxes. And those who don't want to pay the taxes and have got millions in their rooms are these stories about this. I transfer 5,000 to my village and I give 5,050 for them to get a 5,000. What's wrong with that? Please, we think that let us be honest. They have demonized E-Levy. And if we don't tax digital development, we're not going to go anywhere. How developed are we? Ghana.gov has been in operation. President Biden says that they have to start US.gov, where our citizen ID card, we are ahead. When the rest of the countries get to a certain stage, we can develop the visa, the rest of them. All these are being done for us. All we are saying is let us contribute. Don't let we, the should not be allowed to happen. Anyway, to meeting ya anyway. In whenever you like E-Levy, the E-Levy be here. Bona E-Levy be agara. I tell you, say what a libre uteng free awen bolene grant. Alba bebe a safe chain pen, be bole loan, be ke debt, e be ke didn't same. And some of the debt they are talking about, let me come back, it's about 25 billion that the government paid to make sure that those banks which failed, you, the depositors, got your money. This one, it be bad? Is it bad? So, lenamwe, eche lampo na home ya. Ati ke biya lampo 1.5%. Ebe yeke ali biye donazu. Vi money yel kan kunye. Fun de 100,000. Tout d'amin tur koba. Si de ter. Funa yan tur ni kobre nu yung. Tur ni kobre yu yung. Fun de 1 million. Tutur. Libertira. Attacks na funa yan 15,000. Pienia nu bunga nafna ya. Bo be song neti be ka tintama etina lona. Abuna NDC bo. Bebo kiti lobi. Bebo kiti loyi. Fucheni kor ti konega akor sobi. Nyefudan wa haltabe. So ayele bete nibere. Beda boka bi yel kunye. Ani ir Aikaniza Petro Libya Dona. Indeed, there was an argument between two students, and then one of them said, how much does a gallon cost in the US?
Kessben Superfan. Yes, the Superfan. To be a Kessben Superfan, simply like, comment, and share our posts on any of our social media platforms. Facebook, Kessben TV, Twitter, Kessben Media, and Kessben Media on Instagram. And you can be walking away with a prize. Yeah! Radio more that! Yes, we've got lost prizes for you, the Superfan. Internet data bundles, ions, mobile phones, and other Kessben Media souvenirs. 10 lucky winners for every week. For more information, log on to our website www.kessbenonline.com or download Kessben Online app from the Play Store or the App Store. Kessben Superfan. Let's have fun. Kessben Superfan. Yes, the Superfan. To be a Kessben Superfan, simply like, comment, and share our posts on any of our social media platforms. Facebook, Kessben TV, Twitter, Kessben Media, and Kessben Media on Instagram. And you can be walking away with a prize. Yeah! Radio more that! Yes, we've got lost prizes for you, the Superfan. Internet data bundles, ions, mobile phones, and other Kessben Media souvenirs. 10 lucky winners for every week. For more information, log on to our website www.kessbenonline.com or download Kessben Online app from the Play Store or the App Store. Kessben Superfan. Let's have fun. Kessben Superfan. Yes, the Superfan. To be a Kessben Superfan, simply like, comment, and share our posts on any of our social media platforms. Facebook, Kessben TV, Twitter, Kessben Media, and Kessben Media on Instagram. And you can be walking away with a prize. Yeah! Radio more that! Yes!
Regional Minister who has a tradition in this region from his forebears. I guess one of the most effective ministers of interior I've come across, and that's a son of yours. It's good to have you here. And of course, our Minister of Information, who is making we older ones run a little bit faster than we should, but that's great. And then, of course, our Deputy Minister from Sicily. Really appreciate your being here. And it's a wonderful occasion for this conversation to be had. I also truly welcome the representatives of the political parties and all of the various associations that we have here. And I am a finance minister, but I actually do get a lot more philosophical than the numbers. The numbers we can do, as our president has told us, that yes, we can always fix the economy, but we can bring people back to life. So the sovereignty of the people is uppermost in what we do. Uppermost in what we do. So even as we go through this crisis and manufactured crisis, actually, with regards to E-Levy, I think deeply is a crisis of confidence and self-actualization of who we are as a people. I think if we all had that basic understanding of this superior nation with a manifest destiny for greatness, it will really lead to a certain clarity of language, or a common language which does not enable us to go below a certain level, for us then to look at how we transform our country. And I think for me, one of the enduring signs of that, which brings me to serious worry, I know the president had mentioned that we shall not put politics in front of policy, given whatever it will cost, was really when we all sat down as a country and got beaten by Comoros. Do you know where Comoros is? Some tiny country. I mean, that really should just make us sit up and say, where are we going? How are we defining this democracy to a certain level in which there's, poverty of aspiration, and we really are at a junction that we really need to recalibrate and say, hey, what are we doing to this black star, this country of ours? And I think that's important. And what is the conversation we should be having as a nation, as opposed to being in silos, and therefore everybody thinking that they can grab what they want. So I look at teachers, for example, and civil servants, and I'll be the first to admit that the salaries are indecent. Nobody will argue with that. At the same time, it is 60% of all the revenue we collect for 700,000 people. That's also a fact. So yes, there's a legitimate demand for more, and there's a legitimate reality that there's no money. So what do we do as a society? Then you ask me to give you more salary, which is fine, and then I say, oh, but it's your colleague civil servants who collect the money. So how can you be responsible for collecting the money, not collect it, and then tell me to give you the money? That would be another issue. At the same time, yeah, living conditions must be managed, and lo and behold, the world is also getting into a position where things are even going to be more difficult. So what do we do as a nation? Just think of it as your home, and therefore, where do you sit down to have a real honest conversation so that we can move on? So I just want to juxtapose us in a context of history so we know who we are as a people. And therefore, this crisis of confidence or crisis of self-actualization becomes front and center as we begin to think of where we should be going. So this small country, somewhere in 1957, great leader Kwame Nkrumah, and sends us into independence, and therefore catalyzes the emancipation, political emancipation of most of the African countries. This small country of ours were able to do that, became the Black Star, and you can see now with policies on education, infrastructure, how far we have gone as a people. And today, our eighth round in the Fourth Republic, is something that, the whole world looks to. So Ghana, as a beacon of democracy, has come to stay, and we must protect it. Then in those 60 years since independence, believe it or not, we never had any AU or AU organ in our country. And you wonder why. So we bring independence and somehow OAU. And then last year, we got the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to be situated here. And notice that the new fight that we have is about economic emancipation and investment. That's where we are. And that then comes into our country for some reason. So this kind of divine destiny continues. We are a different people. So with that platform, we then are going to be able to build a regional enterprise, a continental enterprise, the legitimate gateway for investments to come to Africa. So we've been seeded that. So those are, like the two pillars in our secular world, But as the Lord will say, seek you first. Tell me. A righteous society. So President says, that is important. And therefore, his commitment to the National Cathedral. Because truly, in the end, if you don't have values and a clarity and a common language, these things can be wiped out in a hurry. Within a space of less than 2 years, you've seen Mali go down, you've seen Guinea Conakry go down, you've seen Burkina Faso go down, there was a coup attempt in Guinea-Bissau, Niger and Chad have their own issues. And that's where, therefore, the issue of spirituality, of values, and understanding of the democracy comes in. So it is important. And then we have understanding of our history, how we are, the people we are, the shining star of Africa. We then will begin, irrespective of whichever political party is in power, have a common baseline on which we agree. That one language, which in Genesis the Lord said, if they speak one language, there will be no restraint to how far we can go. And that comes with sacrifices. And that comes with burden sharing. And that is the junction we are at. And the issue here, as I look at what the president pushes us with, is that at every point in time, the sovereign right of the people are uppermost in his mind. So even when our opponents said we cannot do free senior high school, he said it's the right of the people. How do you ensure that they have the skill set to be able to depend on themselves so they can move on? And that is important for us. So that there's social mobility, there's social justice, and people feel like they are citizens. Because let me tell you something. You have maybe 4.6 million people of our children in primary school. Then you move to junior high school, and you end up with 2.8 million. Meaning some 1.6 have vanished. We don't know where they are. And we are all quiet. Then you move from junior high of the 2.6 to senior high, It used to be about 800,000. Now, because of the policies, we have 1.2 million. So even of that, you've lost what? From 2.6 to 1.2, some 800,000 have also vanished. And these are what, 15-year-olds or something. Then you move from there to tertiary, and maybe at most 500,000. So 700,000 have also fallen in the cracks. Then we come from tertiary. And how many find jobs? So these are real issues that we can pretend it's not happening, but it's happening. And there's no reason for any citizen of Ghana to be imperiled to that nature. And the reason I say that, and maybe the reason he made me minister, is because we all have our stories to tell, which indicates that every citizen could be a finance minister. And the reason I say that is because me, myself, standing here, was born out of wedlock. And it was just a strong woman who decided not to abort that I was saved. And she went and hid me. She went and hid me in Kumasi somewhere. And when things calmed down, then she came back to Chebi. So in Chebi then was where one went to school, lived with my uncle. You walk a mile to school. In the morning, you go to the river. You roast your plantain, put it in your pocket, and then move right on. And if, of course, you don't like school, the Brim River was always ready to accommodate you, and you swim all day and go back home believing that's okay. But your grandma will suddenly see that your skin is a bit white, which means that you might have gone somewhere else. And, the good old stick was never very far. So that was that, going to Chebi Government School until Dad came from doing his PhD, whom I didn't know because I had not been accepted in the family yet. And something pricked his mind to say, oh, I have this boy in Chebi, or he's now in Accra, going to Kokomlemle Primary, etc., etc. And so decided to bring me home to his new house as he became a lecturer in Legon, and changed my name from Nanaya Kuntunkununku, which I still have, to Kenneth. I needed to learn how to spell Kenneth at that time, and speak English. So those are difficulties. And I was not, I will assure you, the best student in Chebi Government School. I wasn't. So it was the opportunity given by a mother who was courageous enough to not abort, and a father who somehow felt responsible. Most of we men, we usually will forget about that. And that has been the trajectory of change to Legon Primary, Achimota Primary, Achimota School, etc., to where we are. So the intervention of senior high is not to be played with or minimized and, thought of it as insignificant. It changes lives. And so, therefore, the Lord blessed me and my family, and we are doing well. Then we had a house help about 14 years ago who passed because of her enlarged heart and had her niece living with her in Accra. So, of course, when she died, the family came from Bilo, Napa Walambusi, to come and take the young girl away back home. And my wife said, no, this can't be. I said, well, this is your child, She said, no, it can't be. So let's adopt her. So that was some 12 years ago, barely able to speak English because of the Kaki school and all of that. So brought her home, and remembering that me too, I was saved by my father bringing me. And today, she's graduated from a school in Canada, which is really good. But that was not the end of it all. Then after she finished, she came and did her national service in Tamale of Action Aid. And then she got into McGill, which is one of the best universities in Canada, for a graduate school. So now Lillian, has this opportunity. And that's why I go to say that all of us could do great things for our country if given the chance. So this chance of senior high school is important, and the chance, therefore, to recognize that a little sacrifice can transform people's lives beyond measure is what we have to deal with if we are going to remain the black star of Africa. And we have to do that. So when my senior Minister for Interior mentions that, well, for all its ills, if really you transfer 1 million cedis a year and the state asks you for 15,000, is that too much to address the issues of our debt, our infrastructure, and youth employment? If you make 100,000 cedis of transfers a year and I take 1,500 cedis from you, is that too much to warrant an insurrection? And if I look at Upper West, where we have 11 constituencies, of which we have Nandom, not Jirapa, Landon, Lambusi, and Tumu. Yeah? Sisalais. And we have, 340,000 people within the age bracket of 15 and 35 with serious issues of unemployment, with 8 of our MPs coming from the NDC. What reason would they have to stop an E-Levy which is looking at a 10 billion cedi intervention called U-Start to get at the issue of employment? You hate MPP all you want, but what about your 340,000 youth who need jobs? What is the reason? Where is the republic versus policy? There are some things I have to do. I have to report to you on a regular basis. I need to close in the gaps, of leakages, etc. But it does not mean that we shouldn't move ahead in a world in which e-commerce is going to be the order of the day. What is the reason for any of these MPs to say, no, whatever argument you have, we won't do it? And then I go and look in their manifesto on page 99, and they have something called uniform fees, which will look at taxing all electronic transfers in their own manifesto. So what are they doing? A, they don't want us to get jobs, or B, they want us to go to the IMF. To what effect? So that really is my story. Are we here as a proud nation, courageous and strong to take this burden? What did the IMF give you? The last time they did, it was $1 billion in a program, that is, of $300 million a year for 3 years. E-Levy, as small as you might think it, will be 1 billion or 7 billion cedis, starting this year if we had started early, so we could pay your district assembly common fund. But they are sitting on it. So really, that is a picture I want you to get, and to determine for yourself that, look, my friend MP, you go and vote for our E-Levy. The other issues we can deal with because I'm in your party. But nothing that harms the 340,000 people who mostly do not have jobs. I mean, the indignity of educating your children for you to then give them money for them to subsist and be underemployed. We cannot accept that that is our lot. It cannot be. And that is why, for me, the issue of a crisis of confidence and the crisis of self-actualization becomes the real issue. Are we going to be honest with ourselves and determine how we move forward as a country? Because we are at a critical junction where there is enough money in here between me being efficient in closing loopholes and collecting taxes and reporting to you, and you understanding that we have to pay for this. And what we have brought is also not egregious. So I went to Parliament and said, I need to consult a little bit more so that we understand the issues, because you say that it's pernicious to the poor. And I asked them, the poor, I have eliminated 100 cedis a day from it, which means that until you transfer 3,000 cedis, 100 cedis a day, you will not get E-levied. Then people say, my pension money, I send a little bit to my child, and then that's going to be E-levied. Do you really send 3,000 cedis to your child, or are you arguing because you have heard it? And what is the signaling, to the child? That, well, grandpa sends me money, but the state knows that he does not have enough pension money, so that is exempt. But anyway, there's something called E-Levy. So you are also educating this child, and you yourself are shielded from. How do you turn this into a positive conversation for the next generation coming, and for we ourselves? There's a proverb in Tree says, "Ekwan ho noma na akwantu noma efe, nanso yede den sika ena eto." So we go to America and Sweden, and they are taxed 50% of their income. Everybody keeps quiet, and Ghanaians, we pay for it. We come back to our country, and there's all sorts of hullabaloo. But the reason why I'm not saddened by this, and giving me the opportunity, thanks to the Minister of Information, to get around, is then being able to really look at who we are as a people, to have a conversation with all honesty, me listen, and also have my own background as what it is growing up in Chebi and being privileged to have this position to serve. Is what then brings us here as we talk about the E-Levy. So it's not an issue of sort of technical, rejection of it, but asking the question that with this level of unemployment, truly, me as a teacher, am I going to teach these children and then they go and they have no jobs? It can't be satisfying. It cannot be satisfying. And that's not the people that we are. So where is the republic and where is politics? Is what I ask. And they should tell you why we should not get these resources to support us, even as we do other things. So that is important. So how do we get that one language? So that we don't go below it and we don't get beaten by Comoros. It's important because it's shameful. And we are arguing about things that will save the future and that will save our children because of different political parties. We cannot continue to do that. Yeah. So there we have it. So that the employment numbers are stunning, or unemployment numbers, because literally you have 56% of our population below the age of 24, and some 11 million people who could be doing work that are not doing work. Then we have debt, which we have to pay for. But the issue about the debt, let's get some clarity on it. I think we inherited some 123 billion, and now there's a gap of about 215 billion plus 120, so about 380 billion is what we have now. So 215 billion is what we had. But what did we meet? I think we all remember. The reason why you gave Nana Akufo-Addo 1 million votes more in 2016 is because things were not good. So that 1 million votes came from NDC and NPP. And let's remember that. Growth was 3.4%. That means we were not going anywhere. Deficits, were 6.5 or 7%. The trade was not good. International reserves were low. The decline of the cedi was known. We had Doomsaw. We had signed some really bad contracts in energy. So that is why we moved. And from there to 2020, it was clear what had been happening. 400,000 more people in senior high. Essentially, Doomsaw was eliminated. Allowances for nurses, allowances for teachers, etc. And the country was moving forward. Nobody would challenge me to say that there was a new lift in our voices, in our steps, whatever we did. Then, of course, we had the intervention of COVID. And even in COVID, I went to a meeting in which, our small minds, me and Minister of Health, thought, well, maybe some $2 to $10 million and we'll fix this COVID. By the time we got up, President says, Minister of Finance, go and look for $100 million because this is serious. And I'm like, well, that's a very different discussion than 10 million. But his vision, he was very clear somehow about the ominousness of this pandemic that was coming. And therefore, we tackled it with zeal. And we are forgetting that. As to the water, as to the electricity, as to the food that was distributed. And now about 300,000 deaths in Africa. Ghana has only 1,400. Not only because every Ghanaian life is important to us, but that then shows the magnitude of the intervention. And so we can't forget those things. We can't forget those things as we move on. Then we have our infrastructure. We all want our roads. And so we must, because it opens up the society and there's more productivity. So we need to find those resources. But they've defined how best we can get money for these issues, and that we can't continue to depend on the outside world. And we know we can't because Ghana Revenue Authority tells us that of the 18 million people who could pay taxes, 18, only 2.4 million are paying. All of us sitting here, if we were to honestly look at whether we are paying, you realize that we fall short. So 2.4 million, 8% of the population is carrying us. That cannot be fair. We have to find a way for everybody to participate in this. How do we burden share as a people to get through, this triple helix of debt, unemployment, and infrastructure so we build our society? And we can because the resources are here. And we are comforted because even if you look at Ghana, I think our revenue to GDP is somewhere within the 12 to 14% range, whilst our neighbors, poorer neighbors, are in the 18 to 20%. So obviously, there's something wrong. And my pastor told me the other day, the reason why people are resistant? Because your tax system is like everybody having a little bucket where they decide to bring it in or dodge. Now you have brought a water hose. Everybody is passing through the water hose and you can't get out of it, and they don't want it. So that's where we are. Do we want the water hose so that everybody pays their part of it? And don't tell me that it's pernicious to the poor because we have reduced it to eliminate that. But we have this problem. If nothing else, our youth, so that we can get employment going. And we come back to that society with one language, that society that cares about the neighbor, that society that ensures that a Lillian from Bilo will be carried by somebody for her now to have a master's degree from the best university in Canada. Or a kind of Furiata born out of wedlock, walked 1 mile to school with plantain in his pocket, now being finance minister. And he wasn't the best in Chebi, but the opportunity. That is the society that we are. And that is what we should rise to. And that is what Ghana is, that black star. It's not all those arguments about, well, you are not collecting this, you are not collecting that. We are moving from a business that is 78 billion in 2016 to one that is 950 billion in 2021 and going to continue. Why should we not begin to tax it so that we can do the work that we all have to do? Why should we be paying our civil servants such low rates, but at the same time it consumes 60% of our revenue? That can't be right. So we need to enhance productivity to be able to do that, So the E-Levy really is a chance for us to show our true self, to build that righteous society where our politics is good, we are the toast of the world, where our economy, is moving on because we are an entrepreneurial nation in which people have jobs, where there's a certain clarity of righteousness as a people. So we protect and have values, that cannot be challenged. So that's where we are. And we can do it. I know we can, because I stand here as a testimony to what can happen if the good of our people are brought to fair. So yes, it's been uncomfortable going through since November 17th about this E-Levy and all the arguments. And it just dawned on me that truly the Lord is pushing us to say, Ghanaians, where do you want to go? How do you want to burden share? How can we do this? Because this government that you are talking about is very different from the things we met in 2017 to what we are all benefiting from. Either your niece or your cousin or your son or your daughter must have gotten something. Let's not forget. The same way in which the Israelites sent the spies to the promised land, and Caleb and Joshua came back and said, we can do it. And there were 8 of them going through the crowd, depressing the spirit and energy of our people, thinking that Egypt was good again. We can't afford that. So let us rise up, stay with whichever party we want, but let's have a common language and threshold of where we want to go. So it is on that basis that I encourage you, for us to move on. We've lost too much time, but it's been good conversation. I get to come here, I get to listen, I get to understand. So one of the big chiefs was saying, well, I send money to my grandson and I have to be taxed. And then, I asked a simple question, do you really send 3,000 cedis to this young boy? And then he realizes that, it's not quite true. It's a theoretical argument, So let's break it down. But then we, as a government, the responsibility of reporting to you on a regular basis the usage of these resources, and also going after, the leakages that we have, with some amount of favor to ensure that we get the monies that we deserve. But let us just remember always in the context of the great people that we are. And let us not let anybody, push us to believe that we can't do it, that we have to go outside for it. That is not true. We led Africa's independence. We are going to lead economic emancipation. And we are going to have a people who are righteous. Thank you very much for this. Thanks.
One more time, let's hear it for the Minister responsible for finance. Minister, thank you. I want to get some quick translations. Sankara, where are you? Where are you, Sankara? You have a microphone there. Can you do a quick translation into Lobe for me in about 2 minutes? Can you do that for me? Very quickly. Can we activate his microphone?
Good, thank you. Nimbere Najine Egafra. As a minister na kara silibi deal tasene lesson e ka se pal jen chin sunni wil tarse ana e ka ton mal lola yi no yara irbi anya na obara yurba bola honorable Ken Ofori ata we yara ka lampo pala ya ban wara bola E-Levy o ina bonya na ton sun na o mal as Ghana ton o mana wil tarse wil ya ka Simandon chente pion libye yin na salton be ka na salse ya ka ba sona sena aso fuma di son fie bojun alaba man de okose ya ka ba sona sena e ba man wila yil frese amine sen sia wa ka sitro ka bara dar aba yar ka ba sona sena awi ka abala ison fila ba son se ajun pan yara ya ka fonde nan dom de lambusieti de tumu na for longtemps nin jombal ni bebe abalte ay ba tuna E-Levy nya be lampo pala ya ba mbola E-Levy bo sinya libi jonya na ton male ton anya na ata kandra jaba chenjija ti pion libin na wala pone o ban yere ka fon ka seresna 20 des na nya ka sin ya vorne chenteo anto mal si yiltarse asion ne kandra ja o so e kan sisi fris mi blam la anna e ka yil bor si anya jija sem boro ka tonya mal fo yere ka ne tan suku kan fo ban bole ka free SHS si janya na le tona na yi apona wa doctor ye mal fo yi viel anya sembe sere an ton anyan taba na ton ira ka tunya mbaya se so e ka se mwens mi ya yere ka funchen Ghana Revenue Authority ndo ba na kare se lampo di yel tase be ka ndo be million pina ni na taso e ka ba yap lampo ka Ghana teacher abara da ndo ba ngmenele bojun ba yo yan kpon e ka fo ton tu na funya ando ba nyan ba jija ka ba ton wa yara lampo kurase alalo pa yere ka asibibi yo jema bara sa kutu ajene ba tara tumoy ngala sen wanya atuma koba ngala sen ka ba ton chen suku chentel o den Paul Blaze on man le un chen na sal ton suku selen wat bar aso lombi dia do len wat bar e ba nya tumatun aw saku chen fo ton ni boro we yere ka semba yang ba mini be agomnet po e ka san yere se dire amala ama ja blam le fontinye ta blam lon me abeka I believe ba wura libia ja na ba yono kale wi ka yel mal se amini bebe na benbe Ghana government nse ko mala ta libia bebe jum abeka asan yere dire se libia ajun yere ka ampile November what on wa gure wa don gan go bebe boyin jai a in yele na wonu ko mbora e ka o lieb ndibe ya abanya abulo mbo ko mal ko ka sel mboka asitubin la na e kasi die mpan ti chabar kasi yon ni se bibi ni se yon tulise ka ba mi ir ni dar kon na ba ma 20 a E-Levy be a lampo pala ya ban de wan ko nan je libye no ko Ghana ban as bin na se chini na se trichini ajun yere ka alibia ya ban dire why ban din tichine e son le son ja lo finance minister man lian wa lo man ko se ndo mene alibia se nya anton le sidi anya le sidi anya le sa die wo mana na son le son ja asima nyu ni ta anton wo irwa dini na wa mana anya ko se lela wo wara son ja na mana ko se ajunda ja wote ka yeli ina yel deore wo mana e ka wo tana kan na so e ko ka ngala e kama ilibri na nyom mobile phone po na de ko mbie ku beji ko ayitin do ngba ko yere ka alibri la phone na ko fo bi amene fe ka million point ko ka lo baba pombe wa ibumba na ngba blanjale afilibri lo phone na ko bi lo wa par fo kon lo la bangba blan ajun yere ka sita de anasal si son fo lo ko iyele sen dial yo we ese mbore ka sornya lo finance minister nyen de wana esi jotu lana e ka se lontare se Ghana libye na se lier cheche mantara esi debi na se kare se ton ibarakan.
Thank you. I kept hearing you say lampo. I'm sure that's the tax in the local language. So I've learned something from you. Muniru, comrade, if you can do a quick translation into Wale and Sisali for me, then we'll get to questions and answers quickly.
Kinanye anane kinanye anane te
libi dikara be tili niana mandire tili bi akara amma hadibu mun ayala kudikane foriata o yelenka kina yodo o mga babu o dogbo ano babu adam mahe ana lamponga bi E-Levy nga yala tin yalanga onalaka o ma anteru pu o jahenku ihane pu nga chetu dogo banle odigani nchebi on bablanga skublen jine awania ai Minister of Finance ompana do mga amahe atiyi ana lamponga ana E-Levy nga yala tarhe o yelenka ana lamponga no pianga jatang marakuye no piana ne ana no piana ana ven karuso tumehe kare tumehe naba karata enba ana le yusuha bi kare enba na dipyo ayi asuha kuya yelane ana bonto wo ven kana yele nga kangma bai umpana yelaka karata de politics ka di binnimu toron kace yiri babu badde ka abai kabla kumbanton ven ka yiri babu ko ga nimu tore ka kunan ka tontono ba anin ticha he ka wasan yar yele batar nimbiri ka amaman jati ye von an wulka ta batona laham libiyati mehen an nabin tat dibu karidi ata yawte mehe son kanan ven ka ana yale nga ja ka ambaman achino son umpana do ngata mahe aga nkroma andangu kublan awadie te mehe ayi ingban pianisen 1957 awulka Ghana ti yanne ba na bantu ndiunu ayi ti yidierba kacha yiri babul yo hemblan awana jine o yelanka kina anye kati yiri ngo pili barang cha jaga peron balong ancho petu wa bahe ka yiri babu alyoga puri au yiri babu ngaman alyoga puri ka Ghana yunane kinanga engban piani tengi ka bamen yande bana wulkana jaga peron balonga o dogo he bamen ompana yala yala ti cha te cathedral church ka kina anye ka man suman karwan puho ngana so hangmene ka ulkati forforu na ga ni mutore o lega kinanga Mali aga Guinea aga Burkina Faso Niger anen Chad ka jaye tehina wulka bro ya tari bi ana yenga ka jati ye blane ba ngonso ya tarhe ambama agaren mutore chonya la ka libyen na die ka ye libyen an wulka awo 7 billion bana mantu nga die ka na libyen na ba mantu yitona akutija ka tene jama yalanka baman kabana wati hilibiri halaka 1 million la million bunye ka ta baman die E-Levy onka ayi ka baman dire lampo seki ti libi atata million pista 30 million sane kabana bantuang ana libringa ayi ana libringa enga kabla nane kina matuan ti libir ata million pista kabakung libiri ayi ana libringa enga on para yala kase karaja salanta ka ven ka ana lemponga yalehe ko yala angulika ona gaye ni motora kabasagudi ko bon ana bantuan ven ka yiri babo ko oga ni motora timunu kwangaku.
Thank you. So this was Sisali that you did?
Yeah, I did Wale.
You did Wale first. I'll let you do the Sisali for me. But we're getting ready to take questions now. It is my understanding that some of our revered chiefs want to make some early comments. And so may I ask the team to bring the microphone closer to where our revered chiefs are. My understanding is that some of them will want to make some early comments. So please get close to them, and when they signal you, you let me know, and then we come to them. I just want to highlight some very important statistics that Minister of Finance put out. So Sankara and Muniru, you help me to amplify these statistics. Minister has just explained that the data shows that there are 340,000 young people in the Upper West region between the ages of 15 upwards. 15 and 35. 340,000. Many of whom are unemployed, and that revenue measures like the ones we are discussing will help him provide a stimulus so that they can also get onto the economic path. Do we want to oppose a measure that helps to provide jobs for 340,000 young people in the Upper West region, the U-Start program? Is that what we want to do? And that is something that he's tickling our conscience with, and we should be discussing as we go along. The second thing Minister has drawn our attention to is that there are only 2.4 million Ghanaians out of 15 million taxable Ghanaians. Think about it. Only 2.4 million out of 15 million taxable who are paying direct taxes. Can those 2.4 continue to carry the whole population? That is also not possible, and that's why it's important to broaden the tax base. It's time for questions. Do I have any indication where we are starting from? Yes. Do I have any indication? So while we wait to get the indication, Muniru, please just do the quick translation into the Sisali for me while we wait to get the indication. Mr. Obiaje, please draw closer.
So mbena enibene la minister haben la morwie la nar le morwie dunuvia o hakole o bolviara amole la E-Levy hala kabuli enibene E-Levy ha hakako o wa kon hasu le ni la jan la tutu kano lama ania renaje aviu iresi a amomo re enete bo wulukan E-Levy haba akuko si enibene la totonna goma totonna la tichaba rubetuno vie buweri betuno vie ma habu were o mole ane la wule kikies morbi ayoyoka asuole dika ka abe paper nwoko enete la teachers wotun ko ba otutu no wotun rube motuno wori paba bo wule ka amode abamara de ania wo hono ruweri o se enibene E-Levy ha obnaka ne enire tie morbi an million kwala basalam lemporo ha ede ayi o se seri tia tie morbi ko epi morbi he mobile money la a le million kwala amomo 30 million kabase wole lese morvi ale morvi hala ra era irisete morvi na ma ama babulompo lise morvi la o musopa amobli ni bene free senior high school kora arba mu school pe eni seri mu senior high school isomo pe e bukuntum ru morvi ha wo fian wo paper dangala awole leni re free senior high school imu school pe roma sopa bo wole yoku dile ayo bukuba atunti chava are tutonna re karmovia roma sopa osi ne bene ni ko Upper West Region ne ayuka ha tutuma kana ne amase ayuka tutuma kana na wer government wole a ropa tutuma sere kiesra ha wole kiesa ban kiesa ha toki bo wole juta a wole pane tutuma la kun ha ba blu youth start ona hampolirima suomi atutun tutume reba ko pela ba blu youth start ni bene du mo ha ta na bo suole jo atun totonna ko emanu suomo wole ju mo ha ta apela osi ni bene Ghana wufiala ani ni efi ari vanon reni jo reni pila wufia hedangala van fo magaba tunlampo ama ni aba ni bolia ari vanas vana ni ha tunlampo tax ra ko lampuro ha ra esi awo bon eneti va jarbo suru omi nanar nyawu ha Ghana la ima wolo tutun kon reni aja to tutuma ko ina ja pimori apanar rima wolo tun lompo ve o ha bolanka hedangala ne.
Thank you very much. So please just raise your hand wherever you are, and if you are interested in asking a question or making a contribution, we'll send the microphone to you. Muniru, you stay with me. You do the interpretations for me. Quick, I see a hand up here. We'll take a first batch. There's one here. There's another gentleman at the back there. Are there others in the auditorium? And then there are some more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seniors at the table, I'll come back to you later. I want to hear from the general public first. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I think we have heard enough about the E-Levy this afternoon, and we couldn't have heard more. Listening from the speakers, particularly the Minister for Information, said there were some perceptions about the E-Levy, one of which was double taxation. I think that is a very genuine concern people have risen, and we need to know how do we explain the issue of double taxation to somebody who needs to know. Secondly, the Minister for Finance and Economic Planning also was emphatic on the need for all of us to speak with one language. But I think that's what the minority group in Parliament are emphasizing. They said they have not been called to a dialogue properly on the issue. And I want to take this opportunity to suggest that when you get back to Accra, kindly bring the minority group in Parliament to a dialogue so that we all be on the same page. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. There was another hand at the back. There's a gentleman there. Yes. There's a gentleman there with his hand at the back. Kweku, come round this way, and then let's take the microphone there. And then I had 3 here. Can I see the 3 again? 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's a 4th one. So I'll come and take these 4 before we take responses. Yes, sir. And please just mention your name and introduce yourself to us. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Paul Sanyu.
Please speak up so that we can hear you better.
Thank you very much. My name is Paul Sanyu from UBIX. My first issue has to do with a recommendation that we have heard of the E-Levy very well education, and we are very okay with it. But for a start, can we look at a rate between 0.5 and 1%? Because when we look at countries that have introduced E-Levy so far, such as countries like Kenya, Tanzania, and the rest, for the start, some of them look at it between 1% and 2%. And those who have it from that is above 1%, they rather apply it on service fees, but not on the transaction value. Okay, so in our case, if we are looking at it on the transaction value,
and the threshold should come down.
Yes, so the threshold should come down. That's the first one. The second issue has to do with the issue of the employment. Are we also looking at the possibility of people not leaving the digital platform, such that the unemployment that we are looking at, people who are already on this mobile money agent, when we have so much reduction in the transaction of mobile money agent, don't we see the possibility of people becoming unemployed who were actually doing the mobile money transaction as their source of what? Employment.
Thank you very, very much. Those are two very cogent questions. I'm sure we can give them a round of applause. Let's come this way. There were about 4 hands that were here, 2 just by the cameras, then 2 to my side here. Yes. So let's start with the gentleman in the red cap. What's your name, sir?
My name is Alhassan Bashir.
Alhassan, let's hear you.
A representative from Dr. Hilalman Technical University. I want to know the sources of the revenue mobilization in Ghana. And secondly,
we have tax revenue and non-tax revenue.
Tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Yes, because I want to know, since 93 up to now, when Interior Minister was saying that there is no lack of employment is in Ghana here, and we all know of that. And there were people employed. What was the sources of that tax revenue that we were used to employ them? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. The Interior Minister will respond to that one. How have we paid for the people we have employed so far? That essentially is your question. And if I get you, well, what you are saying is that we should use the same way to employ some more people. Alhassan, I'm trying to see if I understand your question. How have we paid for those we've employed so far? And if it's possible, we should use the same way to employ some more people. Minister, so that's Alhassan's question. Yes, sir, the gentleman in yellow.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity given. I'm Sabo Prosper, representing the Nurses and Midwifery Association. My question is, it means that if I'm to send 300 Ghana cedi, that's 3 million. If I send 100 cedi today, tomorrow I send 100 cedi, then the other day I send 100 cedi, will I be free from the tax?
Yes, you will be free from the tax.
Thank you. And my second request is that we know the country cannot do without taxation. But if you look at how people are paid through the salary system, I suggest that the government can also generate this tax by inflicting it on those who take above 3,000 a month to break the difference between the poor and then the rich.
So government as an alternative should increase income tax. Yes, government should increase income tax for those who are formally employed and who earn a salary. Yeah, those who earn beyond 3,000 cedis. Thank you very much. I like that suggestion. We'll let the experts speak to it. 2 more questions and then we'll take responses. Yes, sir, introduce yourself to us, sir.
Justice Autry from...
Can we have some quiet in the hall and hear his question, please?
From
Justice.
Ghanaian Technical University. Thank you for the opportunity. The E-Levy, which is an issue that we want to generate income from, it has been a major concern to me that the state, when I went to the former education system where you go to O-level, and before you choose your subject in Form 4, you do all subjects. And what is money? We said I did science at Form 4, but you do general courses in Form 3, and I learned a cons. What is money? Money is a legal tender. It's transferable, it's durable. It can be used to pay for goods and services. The country has sat down for individuals to create money. This is the woes, and this is the repercussion, the problem that we are facing. Now, the individual company creating money, what they do is that now the people sitting here, when we count, they are having about 10 million in their wallets as they are sitting down. And all this money is with the individual company. They get the money, they translate into dollars, they just send to their home country and transfer to their home country. And we see that always there's pressure on our dollar. The dollar that we use to import goods, because we have allowed individual companies. So the problem to me, I have the issue to it. I went to the minister to go and meet him, but I met his absence. What the state have to do is that money should not be allowed individual organizations to create money. Mobile money is money. What mobile those network can do is that when you send the money, it's not transferable. But once the thing becomes transferable, we allow individual companies to create money in our country. So what I'm saying is that Ghana mobile money, electronic money, should be operated by Bank of Ghana only, not any individual country. Other than that, all our money will be sent. They change into dollars and send.
Justice,
that's what is creating problem.
Secondly, very quickly.
My second point is that we respect that we want to create more money, and increase in income is also equally to save in expenditure. Another way that we can save expenditure in financing free HSS is that you should give each student Ghana card, and when you complete school and you get employment, you start paying. Those rich people will opt out, and when they opt out, the country is going to save huge financial burden on the state, and that's the way to go. Because it's not sustainable for the state to offer free education to all people while the people can afford.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's justice. I'll take a final one here. Then we'll make some comments and then get reactions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Minister.
Name, sir?
I'm Joseph.
Joseph, let's hear you.
Yeah, Contour. Yes, Minister, the 2020 General Auditor Report.
Auditor General's
Auditor General report.
Published in 2020.
Yes.
For the years spanning, which years are you talking about?
2019, 2020. In that report.
Take your time. The one published in 2020.
Yes.
But spanning which period?
Yes, I think it's spanning from 2018, 2019.
I don't think so, but you go ahead.
Yes.
You go ahead.
Yes, but I think, my point I'm making is that in that report, the report indicated that 27 billion is what have been achieved from our internal generated funds.
No, that's not correct.
Well, I'm speaking.
No, it's not correct.
Yes, my point is that, Minister, I'm an information officer. These details I'm giving you have been argued seriously on a WhatsApp platform. I did indicated.
Can we please be quiet and listen to him? He says that according to calm down. He says that according to what he has read,
yes,
27 billion has been achieved.
Yes, on that discussions that we had.
Relax. Achieved as in revenue mobilized or what? When you say 27 billion has been, so that everybody understands you.
Minister, as in revenue mobilized. That is the discussion.
Okay, we'll give the correction. Go ahead.
Yes. The point I'm making is that I am trying to draw your attention on a discussion on that platform. And now I've decided to represent them and ask that question because I raise similar issues you are raising.
Yeah.
These legal issues about the time spent and all those things. But the argument is there. And I think you understand from which political divide this argument is coming from. And I've struggled to explain myself, and I'm trying to use this platform
to get answers.
To get answers because they are listening to us right now.
Very well.
They are arguing that this money is what the country have realized, the 57 billion. And out of this money, 3.5 is what have been reported as a stolen money. Don't we think that if we recover this money, if we put in measures to recover this money, including the one that my ministry, information ministry, the 1.3 billion that you reported that have also gone missing, if we are able to recover all this money, wouldn't we be able to do away with E-Levy? Now, the other argument is that this E-Levy that we are talking about if we agree and Parliament pass it, what are the loopholes? What is the system that we are going to put in place to check these leakages so that the money will be well expended? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I quickly need to make some corrections before. Can we have some order? The purpose of a town hall meeting is to allow everybody to bring his issue to the table so that it can be addressed. So even if you don't agree with him, you take your time. I quickly need to respond to some issues before I invite the ministers to respond. There was a first suggestion that our colleagues in the minority say that they have not been called to a dialogue. That was one of the very first comments that came in. And your recommendation is that then when we go back, we should involve them in a dialogue. I want to say categorically to you that that is not true. It is not true. The government team has met not less than 5 times with the minority team in an effort to bring greater understanding and possibly even come to a certain common position on this revenue measure. I have had the privilege of being part of even one of those meetings. The finance minister has been in almost all of those meetings. Senior Derry has been in some of those meetings. They can speak to it. In fact, let me give you a clue. You will recall that the minority leader publicly announced that after engagement with the Minister for Finance and the Minister of State, he is of the view that 1% is appreciable. You recall that? And then later, the political party, the NDC, issued a statement that no, that's his personal opinion, and that the party does not agree with it. Inherent in that is an example of engagement to the extent that he understood that at least even 1% was good. So if anybody tells you that we have not had dialogue, it is totally untrue. Dialogue has gone so far that today we are here in WA listening to all ideas and suggestions, including the suggestions that we should tax beneficiaries of free SHS so that they will pay for the sustainability of the program. That is how deep this minister has gone with the subject of dialogue across the country. So I want to quickly disabuse your minds of that. It is not true. We'll continue engaging and dialoguing. And our expectation is that in the end, everybody will recognize that it is the interest of the Republic that should be supreme, not our partisan interest. The second matter I want to speak to is a claim that when you allow telecom companies to have an electronic wallet in which you can have a representation of your money, and they take money from you and have an electronic wallet. The gentleman who asked the question, if he is please listening to us, when you put your money on a Momo account, they transfer the money abroad, and that puts pressure on our currency. That is also not true. When you put your money on the wallet, that money stays here in Ghana. What they transfer abroad is their end-of-year profit after tax. And we need to be clear with it so that we also don't send panic into that side of the ecosystem. So it's not true that when you put your money on a Momo account, quickly the money is transferred abroad. No, that's not true. The money stays here in the bank accounts and the wallets of the telcos, which are regulated by the Bank of Ghana through their commercial bank accounts. It is only their profit after tax and when dividends are declared that they may transfer some to their parent company. But you have a point there. If they are taking your money for the service that they are rendering and may not necessarily be building roads, hospitals, other things, and we are comfortable with it, how about if the Republic wants just a little bit to be able to do your roads and provide jobs for 340,000 people in the Upper West region? So you have a point there, but the factual inaccuracy should be corrected. The last point I need to quickly correct so that somebody doesn't take it home. For example, Information Ministry, there's no 1.3 million cedis lost. That's not true. The Auditor General's report for 2020, which spans a number of years prior to 2020, mentions a number of irregularities, about 12 billion cedis irregularities. It does not mean money is lost. Sometimes, let's say ECG can, or Energy Ministry can take meters or something from ECG for a particular purpose. They haven't completed the process of accounting and refunding for it. It will be described as an irregularity. Now, the fact that irregularities of about 12 billion have been mentioned in the Auditor General's report does not mean 12 billion has been stolen. Indeed, the Auditor General's report is not a fait accompli. It's not a final document. That is why when he finishes, he takes it to Parliament, and Parliament sits and invites the people. So, for example, when we went there, they said irregularities of 1.3 has been mentioned by the Auditor General. We said, the Auditor General is here. We have asked him for 3 years now to give us evidence of this 1.3 so that we can find out and investigate. It has not been provided for us. And you notice that the chairman of the committee instructed the Auditor General that go and provide the details. Because you can't tell the public that 1.3 million is irregular and not provide the details to help the institution deal with it. Also, very finally, half the time, by the time ministries appear before the Public Accounts Committee, they say it was mentioned as 500,000, but between when it was mentioned and now, we have corrected or regularized that amount of money. So it's not true that 12 billion is stolen, let alone this thing about 27 billion, 57 billion, 3.5. I just wanted to make those remarks. Senator Derry, your microphone is active where you are. If you can respond to some of the questions that came your way.
Yes, thank you very much. But before I go, I want to add more to what you are saying. I appeared before the Public Accounts Committee over a week ago. And the issues they bring concerning prisons, fire, and the rest of them, some of them is just, where is the receipt? You provided. And then that is it. So I've appeared there, and no minister has gone there and been told that you couldn't account. And most of the time, we are even asked questions of periods that we were not ministers, but we are able to deal with it. So don't confuse irregularity with money having been stolen. The gentleman asked me an interesting question. That from 1993, E-Levy wasn't there. So how were they employing people? And I want the man to help me. By the time we came into power, many batches of teachers had not been employed. They finished school, not employed. Nurses, not employed. They were there. We started employing them year by year by year to get to where we are. But before I even come out to the 1993, I went to Interior. When we got to Interior, how many policemen did we have? Have you ever heard them recruiting 5,000 policemen? Never in this country. Have you ever heard them recruiting 2,000 fire service? Never in this country. Indeed, under the previous government, there was virtually no employment. Very few people were taken. That is the case. You are talking about 93. 93, they started collecting taxes. I came here as minister in 2005. When I came here as minister in 2005, the activity you saw in the region, and wow, have you seen it before? No. Because you are not adequately doing the things. We did at that level, and we're raising it to a different level. Let me come to the police. When we went to the police, no promotions at all. Police are here. They should contradict me. No promotions. No promotions at all. They will go, when this number of people are to be promoted, calculate, it's too much. Ask them. President said, no police or any security man promotion should be delayed. And I'm telling you that it's across board. We are promoting them like that. Your police commander came here, has been promoted twice. ACP, DCOP, right now. So there's a difference in the system that we are running now. When I became Minister for Interior, let me tell you what the conditions were. The first meeting I was called to, there were some Lebanese and Ghanaians. What were they there for? Women were carrying children. Their relatives had died in the course of duty. There was no provision for them. These people had come to give 5,000, 2,000, whatever thousand. From that meeting, I went to my president and reported. As I speak to you, by the time the disaster at Kwabenya took place, we had made the conditions to change. There was 185,000 lump sum payment, one, for the people who die in service. So what are you talking about? What quality of life did you have from 1993? Is that what you want? And the demands of Ghanaians are different from the demands of other African countries. You are talking of Kenya and the rest of them. When we go, the last time we met the ambassadors, the Kenyan came to me to ask me, how are we able to run the system the way we are running? So please, it is not a case that there were some employment. Yes, there was. How many people were employed? And now, how many people are? And 93, how many universities were in Ghana? When I was going to school, there were just 3 universities. University of Ghana, Tech, Cape Coast. Do you know how many universities are in Ghana today? And the number of graduates that are passing out each year? Please, the challenges are there. And this government has done a lot to try and deal with it. So let's try to be objective in the way that we analyze this matter.
Thank you very much, Minister. Minister for Finance, please take note of the policy question. Will this not kill digitization and lead to a further loss of jobs? Mr. Nua is from the Finance Ministry. He's here with us. I want you to take the question on, does this not amount to double taxation? Does this not amount to double taxation? So if you are ready, I'll come to you shortly for that particular question. And Minister, there's another policy question. Will you want to consider taxing the beneficiaries of free SHS in the future so that they contribute to future funding of free senior high school? Say again? Okay. Okay, I understood your question to mean that you must have a register of those who are benefiting today so that in future, then they pay for it. Is that not what you're saying? Yes. Minister. Understood. Minister, so I'm sure you've got the question.
I've got it.
We're going to, no, should we come to you? Okay, so give an answer for us, quickly. Quick.
Right, so does E-Levy amount to double taxation? The answer is no. The E-Levy, like any other tax, has a life of its own. We have income tax, we pay income taxes. When we receive our income, we pay tax on it. That's income tax. When we are buying something, we pay VAT on it from the same money we've paid income tax on. If we are consuming communication services, we pay communication service tax from the same money we have paid income tax on. So E-Levy is a tax on its own, just like all these other taxes, and does not amount to double taxation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minister, 3 policy questions. Would you want to consider, or what do you say to the argument that the threshold should be brought down further, maybe 0.5 to 1%, because it's on the transaction volume? There's a policy question about whether you want to register the beneficiaries of free SHS so that in the future, when they have passed out and gotten jobs, they contribute to a fund to sustain the free senior high school program. And then the question of whether or not this will not kill digitization. I'll come around for the second batch of questions after this. Minister. Okay. Yes, it's on.
Thank you very much indeed. And really thanks for the questions because it helps us, come back to what we have to do as a society to be able to build this environment that we want that is unique. The question of rates is also a question of how much you need to do the work that you want to do. So if I say that I reduce E-Levy today by 0.25, I'm saying that I'm taking 1 billion cedis out of the system. So it is not, an issue of just sort of pulling numbers out of the hat, but saying what is it that you need to be able to sustain certain objectives of that. So yes, it could be any number depending on the magnitude of the problem that you are trying to solve. And we pegged it at 1.75 at that stage. But that's our prerogative to be able to do the analysis and see what the need is. Nobody wants to